Moin.
Moin!
We are Lisa and Greg.
Das heutige Video, why Germany is so souring on immigration.
And today's video is brought to you by TLDR News EU. And we will include a link in the description so you can go on over there and do all the YouTube stuff. So this is the recommendation that came through Discord by Mel and Marcel. And they thought that it would be interesting to take a look at this video. So yeah, they're from Germany, so that helps. Go ahead.
We do recognize this was actually originally released in November of 2023. So it's been a minute.
Yeah.
So I don't know, if this is talking about policies, we know that changes quite often. So
yeah, and we know it's a sensitive subject. We're actually immigrants.
We are immigrants.
And if we decide to move to Germany, guess what? We'll be immigrants. Yeah. So it's definitely worth us taking a look to see how that plays out. Yeah, isn't that right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Okay, so let's take a look here. Before we get going here, go ahead and like the video. That really helps with the algorithm, so that would be awesome. And subscribe to the channel because we're moving towards 5,000. That would be great if you could help us.
Yes.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look.
This video is brought to you by Nebula. For the past decade, Germany has had a very friendly policy towards migrants and asylum seekers. Under the chancellorship of Angela Merkel, Germany opened its doors to a record number of newcomers, taking in more than 1 million refugees in 2015 alone.
Wow.
When the current coalition came to power in 2021, it looked like they'd continue Merkel's pro-migrant policy. Both the Greens and the SPD are to the left of Merkel's Christian Democrats, and in their original manifesto, they didn't just promise to continue taking in significant numbers of migrants, but also pledged to push EU frontier countries into ending their controversial pushback policies. However, in the past few months, Chancellor Olaf Scholz's traffic light coalition have performed what looks like a screeching U-turn, putting up new restrictions on migration and even pushing for more deportations. So in this video, we're going to have a look at Merkel's unprecedented policy, how the German government's migration policy has shifted, and the politics behind this shift.
He called it traffic light, like red light? Yeah.
So super interesting because they were very, I guess you could say, aggressive in bringing in refugees. And then it's like they acknowledged that they did too much, maybe, and so now they're kind of retracting that and even deporting some of them. Sounds like he said. So,
yeah, deporting them where? I wonder.
Yeah, who knows?
Before we start, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell to stay in the loop and be notified when we release new videos. So let's start with a quick recap of Merkel's migration policy. During the European migration crisis in the mid-2010s, Germany took in an astonishing 1.5 million asylum seekers, with about 2/3 of those coming in 2015. At the time, Merkel coined the term "we can do this" in response to claims from opposition politicians that the massive inflow of people...
Hold on. 2/3 of that number is
1.5?
it's like 750 million. So, dang. I mean, 750,000?
Yeah.
Whew, in 1 year. That's a lot.
That could put a strain on your public assistance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And just a lot of stuff. Housing, stuff like that. Yeah.
Would be unmanageable for Germany. While most Germans supported the policy at the time, it sparked the rise of the right-wing AfD party, which staunchly opposed Merkel's open border policy.
Hold on. I just had to I had to go back and say something. It's not 750,000.
Oh, you did that wrong?
Yeah, because that's half. So,
that is half.
Yeah, it's half. I know if I don't say something, there's going to be somebody in the comments. You can't do math.
Yeah, I always just rely on you to do math.
Yeah, it's not 750,000. It's it's like...
It's probably like 1.2?
It's 500,000. Duh.
No, 500,000.
A third is 500,000.
They said 2/3 came.
2/3?
2/3 came in 2000.
2/3?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Wasn't that what it said?
That's 1 million. It was 2/3.
Oh, okay. Came in that one particular year, 2015.
Okay, sorry.
So now we know why the AfD was created.
Yeah. So obviously we've had a YouTube channel for a minute because we know what they're going to say when we mess up. So... All right, let's go.
Someone's still going to write it.
Someone's still going to write it. It's okay. And I still might be wrong.
It's okay.
Right-wing AfD party, which staunchly opposed Merkel's open border policy. The AfD had previously been focused on the euro and what they saw as fiscal irresponsibility, but their pivot to an anti-immigration party paid massive electoral dividends, and they performed well in both the 2016 state elections and the 2017 federal elections. Merkel's government even faced a near collapse in 2018, when the interior minister from her coalition party threatened to resign due to his tougher stance on migration. Regardless, Merkel's pro-migrant stance prevailed, and Germany became one of the most ethnically diverse countries in Europe. The number of foreigners living in Germany increased from 6.8 million to 11.8 million during Merkel's tenure, and 29% of Germans today have an immigrant background, i.e. they're either an immigrant or have an immigrant parent, compared to 18% when Germany first started measuring it in 2005. When he took over from Merkel in 2021, Chancellor Olaf Scholz made it clear that he was not a newcomer set on radical changes. After all, he served as Minister of Finance in the coalition government between Merkel's Christian Democratic Union and his own Social Democratic SPD.
We know about the coalition government. It was when two factions had to work together in order to be 51%, I think, of the government or something like that.
Yeah.
On that video we watched?
Yeah.
The coalition manifesto promised to uphold Germany's humanitarian obligations and criticised other European states like Italy for mistreating refugees. This has become a point of contention more recently, with the Italian government criticising the German government for funding NGOs which have capsized migrants in the Mediterranean, which Italy believes encourages irregular immigration. Soon after taking office, Scholz faced the Ukrainian refugee crisis, which he handled similarly to his predecessor. Since February 2022, Germany has taken in over 1 million Ukrainian asylum seekers. In June this year, the German parliament passed new legislation which made coming to Germany much easier, including a Canadian-style point-based system, with lowered criteria for educational level and German language skills. Migrants could now come to Germany with their entire families more easily, even being able to bring their spouses, children and parents over. This was mostly due to labour shortages, where businesses have pressed the government for the need of workers due to Germany's ageing population. Now, however, only a few months after relaxing laws on migration, Olaf Scholz announced that he now plans to severely restrict them. In a shocking address after meeting with 16 of the country's regional governors, he declared that there were too many migrants coming into Germany. New measures would see benefits to asylum seekers cut, make it easier to deport those who are refused refugee status, and toughen sentences for human traffickers. As of now, 280,000 foreigners reside in Germany without a valid permit, but 80% of them cannot be deported as of now due to a variety of legal and logistical reasons. And these new rules have the aim to speed up the process. Refugees would also no longer be given cash, but rather special debit cards with allowances to use in supermarkets. But
they used to get cash?
That's kind of interesting. Even
refugees, okay, they would get cash like a stipend or something?
Oh, maybe as just assistance?
Maybe, yeah.
But why not put it on a card in the first place? It just seems like, I mean, I hate to criticize it, but it just seems like there wasn't a lot of forethought when you're doing all these policies. You know, you want to be humane and you want to do the right thing and, help people when they need it, which I think is amazing that they said yes to all that. But there wasn't a lot of forethought, is that the right word? To really think about, okay, what are the consequences of this and how are we going to do this? And maybe we shouldn't give them cash. Maybe we should put this on the card or,
But maybe there was. I mean, we don't know.
What if there's crime? What if they do? They're going to be, they're in a new country. They're going to be, they're not going to know the language. They're going to be poor, which might lead to crime. How are we going to combat this? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know. This is I
don't know.
I'm sure they did think of it, but just unforeseen things. Yeah.
Without the possibility to withdraw money, which, according to Finance Minister Christian Lindner, is intended to reduce the appeal of the German welfare state. Police would also enjoy expanded powers to search refugee accommodations and gain access to their personal digital data in order to determine their identities. And Interior Minister Nancy Faeser said that deportations would target primarily those who engage in organised crime. Nearly 20,000 rejected asylum seekers are expected to be immediately deported as a result of these measures. Now, to be fair to the government here, they would say that this isn't really a U-turn, and that the relaxing of immigration laws in June was to do with regular or legal migration, and the recent crackdown is aimed at irregular or illegal migration. This is also consistent with the manifesto, which promised to reduce irregular migration while encouraging regular migration. Nonetheless, it's undeniably at least a change in tone, and a far cry from Merkel's "we can do this." So what motivated this shift? Well, there are a few reasons. First of all, accommodating so many migrants has proven quite difficult in recent years. The number of asylum applications has been growing rapidly, rising by about 73% this year alone, with shelters full and regional authorities complaining that costs for this are unsustainable. The bigger pressure, however, seems to be political. The Alternative for Germany, or AfD, which has been the main anti-immigration voice in the country since Merkel's rule, is currently enjoying record high support. At the time of writing, the party polls on average at 21%, above Scholz's SPD at just 16%. The recent regional elections in Bavaria and Hesse seem to confirm this trend in the polling, with big gains for AfD, while the government coalition hemorrhaged voters. Additionally, the CDU, which now leads the polls with 29%, has significantly shifted to the right on this issue. In 2022...
That's interesting, because that was Angela Merkel's
That
party.
was the Christian, right?
Yeah, that was her party.
Oh.
So they have shifted, probably now that she's gone.
Probably because of the narrative that's going out.
Yeah, they got new leadership who thinks differently than she did.
Okay.
Yeah.
9% has significantly shifted to the right on this issue. In 2022, it elected its new leader, Friedrich Merz, a staunch conservative opposed to Merkel's welcoming policies, who even advocated for removing the right to asylum from the German constitution. As leader of the opposition, Merz suggested the government speeds up deportations back in September. The success of the AfD and CDU is, in some sense, a reflection of German public opinion. A recent Deutschland Trend survey found that 64% of respondents thought that immigration doesn't benefit Germany, including a plurality of voters from all parties apart from the Greens. The final impulse that seems to have triggered this shift seems to be the renewed conflict between Israel and Hamas. Germany has seen approximately 200 anti-Semitic incidents since the invasion on October the 7th, something that the German authorities really don't take lightly for obvious reasons. President Frank-Walter Steinmeier even suggested that German Arab...
Oh, I didn't know. I guess I didn't know who the president was.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Steinmeier.
Obvious reasons. President Frank-Walter Steinmeier even suggested that German Arabs should denounce Hamas in response to these events, and the German Interior Ministry banned a pro-Palestine group over its alleged links with Hamas. Fairly or not, this has created some skepticism amongst both the German public and its political class about the limits to migration integration, and exacerbated concerns that large migrant populations mean that international crises stoke domestic unrest. Ultimately, whether this shift marks a new permanent change in German attitude towards migration or just a blip in an otherwise welcoming country remains to be seen. That's unfortunately all we have time for on YouTube today. But if you enjoyed this video...
Oh, man. I mean, you appreciate that they're a welcoming country. I feel like this reminds me of when I was in property management. I was in a predominantly, I don't know if this is going to be a good analogy or not, but I was in a predominantly white area. There's basically one race in that whole city. And I would say probably 80 or 90% of them were white.
Yeah.
And that city refused to allow affordable housing or that type of thing. And so it had to be forced to do it. And so because that city was so afraid of what could come from affordable housing people,
right?
Like the crime or I don't know, it was just so afraid to do it.
Even though affordable housing in the town that we were in meant that instead of paying $3,000 for a one bedroom, you might pay like $2,000. It was meant for like teachers and people who worked at who were waitresses and waiters and stuff like that. And that's what it was meant for. So I can appreciate that what she did, Angela Merkel, what she did was she didn't wait till someone forced her to. She just said,
you know what, I'm going to accept this. I'm going to allow this to happen. So I can appreciate that she did that and wasn't like racist and said, no, I don't want these people in here.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard because, you know, immigration is always a sensitive subject, but even with its refugees, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Because you got people that are, you know, leaving some horrible situation.
I know.
And so you want to be accepting and everything. I mean, it's hard. And we've gotten a completely different perspective. Well, I wouldn't say different because we had this perspective, I think, when we were in the United States, but it has added to what our perspective was by us being here. Right. And being like, you know, being the people who can't speak the language, you know, don't know all the customs and the history and the traditions and all of those things. So it's really changed. So I don't know. And I think the biggest problem, and we've said this in another video on our other channel, I think, is that they may not be acclimating too well, and they may not be trying to. And I think that might be the bigger problem. I don't know. It just sucks that this is how these negative groups are formed, from a place of like hate. And anger. And they want to get rid of them and all of that. So we just, you know, it's good to remember that these are human beings that we're just trying to have a better life. And, you know, the 20,000 or so that did get denied, there was a good reason, and I'm glad that they denied those, and those do need to go. And if you do a crime, you got to go. And they're in a tough situation. I would agree with that. All right, let's take a look and see what the people got to say here. So what just happened? Taking immigrants without checking their background and their respect for democracy, rule of law, is stupidest thing any country could have done. Is that what happened? Is that what happened? You know, see, that's why we don't know if that's what happened. What did she say? Taking without checking their background? Yeah. Like, how do they know their background wasn't checked? Or maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's common knowledge. I mean, I don't know. There's a process, right? There's an application process, or you have to. I don't know. I don't know. So, as an immigrant myself, I just want to share two things. One, not all immigrants want to integrate. It saddens me when I see what I came to get away from follow me. Not all of us appreciate the freedoms we are given and are not nearly as tolerant. Second thing is, Western nations can't help others if they don't help themselves. Yeah, I'm not saying I agree or disagree, but it is really bad in parts of Germany where migration centers are placed. Lots of theft in small villages where everyone knew each other, now filled with people who don't care about your home or stuff. Well, but then I think the next question is, why is that? Yeah. Why do they steal and all that? Why do they steal and a variety of reasons. I mean, it could be as simple as they can't provide for themselves. They can't get a job, all that kind of stuff. So they steal. Or they could be straight up criminals. Or they could be straight up criminals. You just never know. And this is just what they're used to. You have to remember, these people are coming from where there's trauma. Yeah. And things aren't nice. If they were nice over where they live, they wouldn't be where you are. Well, they wouldn't be trying to seek asylum. That's true. Well, I mean, at least the CDU party, is that what it was? CDU, I think. Yeah, at least they're attacking like the illegal things that people are doing, things like that. Yeah. So they're not completely shutting down refugees and immigrants and stuff. Right. They're just trying to make it lawful, which makes sense to me. That makes sense. Yeah. So, all right. Well, thanks, Mel and Marcel. We appreciate that. So we do have another channel, Greg and Lisa React, where you can find other reactions to places in Europe, not called Germany. We have a Discord. Link will be in the description. That is there for your enjoyment. Head on over there. Like the video. It helps with the algorithm and everything. Subscribe to the channel. All of that. Wie immer. Danke für Zuschauen und bis zum nächsten Video. Bye. Peace.